Welcome, everybody, to the R&R CatCast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on an instant reaction show. Going to Frisco, baby. The whoop down, the semifinals against South Dakota. We're here to talk about it. We bring you all the good feels because there's no bad feels tonight, Thorny. We are going back to the national championship.
Going back, man. Another turnover to kind of seal the game. Very reminiscent of 2021. I'm stoked, man. I'm so stoked. What a good day for Bobcat fans.
Ironically, it's the same score we had back in 2021 as well, 31-17.
I didn't even realize that.
Another South Dakota school to go against North Dakota State. Wow, there's like this full circle moment for Bobcat fans. Hope you enjoyed it today. I was just texting with our fellows, like, enjoy it because this isn't guaranteed, and just soak it in because this is something we live for. This is why we do it, buddy.
Absolutely. I found myself being a little negative in the second half too, unfortunately. So it's good to keep in mind to soak it in. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, well, I went back and rewatched the second half. There's some good to pull from there. I understand why you were a little upset a little bit on with the way the Bobcats were looking, but yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll get into it. All right, guys. Well, there is nothing to run down in the Big Sky. There is a game across the state over in the Dakotas that determined who we are playing against, and that was North Dakota State, South Dakota State. North Dakota State won 28-21 and sets up the rematch in Frisco. The last time we will be in Frisco before it moves to Nashville next year.
Yeah, did you have a chance to watch any of that game?
You know, I didn't. We were skiing in the morning, a quick ski trip, and so I was listening and kind of peering in as I was riding the lifts. Did you watch it?
I watched a fair amount of it. It was pretty back and forth affairs, pretty evenly matched, I thought. I was impressed with North Dakota State. They were able to air the ball out, pretty much is how they won the game. With the younger Lance of the Trey Lance lineage. He's a good wide receiver.
Yeah, I just learned about him last week that they had another one. That kind of surprised me a little bit, but then again, nothing really surprises you much in college football these days. I'm happy it's not South Dakota State. I was never a huge fan of South Dakota State. Mark Gronowski and those guys, they can just be done. Peace out, fellas.
Oh, and now we're back. So you'd rather have the guys who won the previous 10 national championships instead?
Well, a little bit. I think we'll talk about this on Monday as well. But I think North Dakota State gives us a better matchup.
Okay, that I agree with. I'm glad North Dakota State won because I'd rather play North Dakota State, not because I'm sick of South Dakota State.
If you're sick of South Dakota State, we will face them second game of the season. Gold Rush next year, South Dakota State.
Yeah.
Put that in your brain because that's going to be a good one.
There.
Woo! All right. So this episode is just to celebrate Bobcats winning the semifinal game. Going to the Frisco, we're going to go into the goods, the okays, and the Bobby Howks on what we felt about this game. And then on Monday, we will come in with a full preview. A full recap. I doubt we'll get a full preview until the week thereafter.
Yes. No, I don't plan on talking North Dakota State on Monday unless it's a little, we'll see, but.
This will be a little bit of a vacuum of media because the holidays and then the bye week. And so there will be some time where our fans are wishing for some content, and maybe we'll try to bring some more to you.
Sounds good.
All right, let's get into the goods. Got to lead off with Tommy Mellott. Took over the game today, rushed the ball for 17 times for looks like 134 yards. No, 125 yards. He passed the ball 17 times. 8 completions for 134. He had 3 touchdowns, uh, 2 to the 2 on the ground and 1 to Taco Dollar. He continues to be the most impactful player in the FCS, and it's just not even close, man. He's a stud, absolutely stud. And if he goes out and wins uh, the national championship, Thorny, he might be the greatest Bobcat of all time.
No, if he'd be in the conversation, he's right there as it is. But if he
Yeah,
somehow captains a 16-0 team that won the national championship, he's a goat. Greatest of all time.
yeah. All right, give me another good.
Just the atmosphere in Bozeman, man, sounded good on TV, looked good. The crowd was rocking. They were bringing it. It looked like they got back in the second half, caused a couple false starts, made it difficult for South Dakota and their offense to operate sometimes. And it just looked like a party in Bozeman, man. Love it. I love where we are as Bobcat fans. Me just
Jeez.
being able to watch the game, it looks so big time on TV now as compared
Yeah,
to, I remember watching like Cat Grizz games back before the stadium expansion when they were on TV. It's not even a comparison.
no. And the way they frame it and just the full crowd in the background with the players in the forefront, it is big time, man. Over 20,000 screaming, and kudos to the kids, the students there, because we all know it's Christmas break right now. They went back for the game. That's huge, man. It was huge, and it played dividends in so many different ways. You said the false starts, but going into the fourth quarter, they had a couple errant snaps. One
Hmm.
where they were in the red zone and they're trying to check down to a different play, and the center, gets confused because of the,
That's
the
right.
crowd
Yeah.
noise, and that was pivotal because then that was a third down, and then fourth down. Simeon Woodard had an amazing breakup to turn the ball over. So the crowd, amazing, looked great, looked like a warm winter day over in Bozeman, um, which was like, take it for you which, or take it how you will. I was kind of hoping for a cold day to get those guys off their game because they haven't played outside since October, late October. That was a factor we talked about last week. Nonetheless, Montana State, you look beautiful. Go Cats.
Absolutely.
Taco Dollar, man, he had himself a day. He almost
Uh-huh.
had he almost had himself 2 touchdowns, one for sure on a beautiful pass on the first series. 4 for 14. Uh 4 for 14. That seems a little bit odd. Oh, 4 for 94. There you go. Again, Ryan Foley can't read his own handwriting. But man, he showed out today. Good for him. Uh what a stud.
Man, Brendan Hall. I'm gonna say Brendan Hall. He
Yeah.
had some boomers today, man, and they were crucial in the
Yeah.
game where field position was mattering. He flipped the field a couple times with his huge punts and didn't get much of a return. So the return coverage was also really good. So the punting game led by the tallest punter in the nation, unofficial stat according to the announcer, which is pretty funny. Uh, yeah, great day for Brendan Hall.
When Montana State's offense in the fourth quarter went stagnant, we were able to rely on his leg on flipping the field, and that was crucial, like you just said. Another good is I just think our defense is still just peaking at the right time. I mean, those guys, South Dakota was a really good team. I didn't know how good they were going to be. Thorny, that was by far the best team we've played, and it
Hmm.
wasn't even close.
No, I had a feeling it was going to be the case.
Yeah. Their quarterback, he was super accurate. Tice, I'm not sure his first name again, but probably the best running back we've seen.
Travis Tice.
Yeah, Travis Tice, man, that guy was
He was
such
so
a
hard to tackle.
so good. Played with such good pad level. He reminded me a little bit of like an Alphonse, where like you just like the first hit doesn't matter. Like he's just gonna brush you aside because his pad level is he's so low to the ground. Neil Daly had him wrapped up on like a 5 yard loss or something like that. And he just like, boop, see you later, dude.
Hmm.
And, uh, I want to give props to Drew Paldor because I thought Paldor played a really good game. Paldor did miss Tice though on his. I think he had like a his first touchdown. I'm not sure what the yardage was. Let's just call it like a 50-yard scamper when they went up tied to 7-7. Polidor crashes in like his typical self and then dives at the feet, but doesn't use his arms to wrap up. Just tries to trip him up with his head. That's not going to work with Tice. That guy was so good. Oh man, what a pleasure to watch him. 6-year senior too. Heard Coach Nielsen talking about him. He got a kind of emotional in the post game pressers, talking about him. Rightfully so. You love to see those guys stick it out in the program, defining guys for your program. Here we're talking about him, but tip of the cap because he was a stud.
Absolutely. Yeah, what else is in the good category? I mean, just the fact we're in the national championship. That's just, gosh, I can't even. I don't know if I processed it yet. And it's weird because it was much more expected this time than it was in 2021.
Yeah,
Like I was expecting us to win this game. I was confident we're going to win this game. So I guess I'm not quite as elated as this magical, crazy run we went on in 2021, where it kind of got in the playoffs, and then Tommy comes in after the whole Matt McKay thing, and just all of a sudden, whoa, this is amazing. That was like completely just like magic. This is like this whole season's been building to this. This has been expected. This would have been a disappointment if we
hmm
lost this game.
I know, and I feel like we should celebrate it more. But it kind of feels to me a little bit like how I did after the Cat Grizz. Like, yeah, I'm really happy inside, but I'm not like over the moon. Like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I can't believe that just happened because, like you said, I expected it to happen.
Yep,
Um,
that's where I am.
Yeah, one of the things I'm really looking for, one of the good is the NDSU rematch. It taught me a lot. Just look, I don't know if he knew he was doing this, but it came across like just stone cold him looking into the camera in the post game when they caught him on the field, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm really looking forward to a rematch with those guys," or something like that. But it's like his stare into like the soul of the camera when he said that was like, "Oh, he means business." Like, it was cold, like chills went down your spine when you heard him say that. And then he echoed that again, as well as Brody Greavy in the post game. He was like, "Man, Brody was like, just didn't mince words to it. He was like, yeah, I'm glad it's those guys. We got a rematch. We got some work for them, or we have something for them coming." He's looking forward to it. So good, dude. I
It
love
seems
it.
like the revenge has been a key piece for this season, and I'm really glad it's North Dakota State because I think the guys will be up for that, the maximum that they would be for
Yeah,
any team.
100%. If you thought there was a little bit of revenge for the Grizzlies, put that in full tilt for the Bison.
Well, we saw it for Idaho. I think
Oh
their first
gosh, yeah,
game against Idaho was the first revenge we saw. Then the Grizz, and now this is like the chance to come full circle on the
yeah,
revenge tour.
yeah. And it seems like this team thrives on that because we've seen them play the best games they've played when they have some sort of axe to grind.
A little bit,
Yeah,
a little bit chip on their shoulder.
yeah. All right, man. That's all I have in the good category. I'm sure we're going to think of more, but that's what I had.
I got to shout out to Adam Jones just for kind of being the rock throughout this entire run without Scotty Humphrey really going full goal. Humphrey did have 11 carries. He just didn't quite look like himself just yet. But I thought Adam Jones, didn't have a huge game, 18 carries for 66 yards and, just along of 13 yards. But, he was the dude. He was the dude all game long, and he was reliable and kept grinding those yards out and got a couple like big important runs when we needed them.
Yeah. Thought Montana State was able to move the ball on the ground pretty effectively until we became super conservative, like I said early on the cast, and where we were like just obviously trying to grind out the clock, and they knew what was coming. Give props to South Dakota State's D line. They had some dudes. Absolutely, number 50 was one heck of a player. Number 90, the defensive player of the year in the uh, Missouri Valley, Marquise Grace. He proved it, man. Like those guys were physical, tough, and big. But yes, Adam Jones, just his consistency, we wouldn't be here without him, right? And who saw that coming? If we went back into August, I would have been like, yeah, probably like, okay, Adam Jones could be a good player, but was he going to be the guy that was going to carry us through the playoffs? Up, I didn't think that it would. I would
No,
have been told you Julius Davis probably. That would have been my guess.
My last thing on the good category, and it's gonna build off of something I'm gonna put in the maybe the bad category or something. Our speaking. I mean, our ground game. I don't think was very effective with the running backs. It was mostly the Tommy show, but we were still able to find a way to move the ball and score points when our traditional game hadn't been working, and that's what makes this year's team different.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. It was interesting that we completely abandoned the pass in the second half. I know that we went up 2 scores and we were trying to salt it away, but we had success in the pass. And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the Tommy game where we're gonna go, 25 completions again, 22 out of 25," and it wasn't. I thought that was on the table, and I'm not sure. I think this leads me to the okay category. I thought the second half play calling on the offense was just okay. I thought we could have took their soul with one score on offense, and we were trying to do it on the ground. And I get that because that's our identity, and it ended up working for us because our strong defense. But yeah, I thought it was there, and we went conservative. And I don't know if that's a Coach Walker thing or is it Coach Vegan thing or is it's a kind of both of them doing that same thing. It worked. It worked. I mean, we're going to Frisco, but I thought we could have steamrolled them.
No, I feel like we had chances to really put the game away, and we just didn't quite do it. But
I thought, yeah, I'll build off that just real quick. I thought there was 3 plays in this game that were kind of like backbreakers that went South Dakota's way. Obviously, the fumble reverse, and to me, when I watched that probably like 3 4 times now, the ball does look like it's jostling. Now they called it a fumble, so they would need uh, pretty good evidence that it was not going to reverse it. They thought they had good evidence. Had it not been reversed, that 37 point or 37-14 at that point would have just been backbreaking. But I don't. Miles, who is it? Miles Jackson that ran it in. Yeah,
yeah,
his knee was down when he recovered the ball, so I think it still would have come back, but they wouldn't have been able to kick the field goal right thereafter. The 2 other plays that I thought were pivotal were the botch snaps from South Dakota. Now they ended up in losses, which is good. One of them in the critical third down where they were in the red zone, but kind of lucky, really. Bauman was just able to recover them both. One of them, like if we just chip Bauman, that's 6 points, on a fumble recovery, and doesn't seem like Montana State has had that play this year. Ironically, we're at 15-0. Heck yeah, put that in the good category. We haven't said that. 15-0. Holy smokes. And we have yet to have like a pick six or a fumble run back, man. It's just been weird as far as our defense goes. And I thought they got kind of lucky there, man.
yep, they did. Gosh, I wanted to say something while you were talking about that. I'm going to move into the Bobby Houck category for one thing. That jet sweep to Tamakola on 3rd and 1, that was a terrible call. I hated that
But
call so much when it
maybe
happened.
I love the jet sweep to Ty McCullough. How do you know that's
On
not going to work in
on
that
3rd and
point though?
1?
3rd and 1, yeah, man. That should
Mm,
be an easy yard. That
no,
should be an easy yard.
I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
like it. Just run up the gut.
Would you put the refs in the bad or in the Bobby Hawks, or would you put them in the okay or the good?
I
They
don't.
let everything go.
They let everything go. They weren't calling anything. They're just like, let's keep the flags on the hip.
Yeah.
So
What'd you think of that?
I kind of like it in the playoffs.
Yeah, me too.
Just let them slug it out. There was holding all over
Mm-hmm.
the place by everybody,
Mm-hmm.
by
Yeah.
both sides.
Montana State, we had like an obvious pass interference against John Johnson in a pivotal moment. They didn't call it. They didn't call anything, and I was like, okay, at least be consistent. And they were pretty consistent
They
with
were
it.
consistent as in swallowing the whistle.
Yeah,
Was
I
every
didn't
single
mind that.
penalty like basically procedural penalty, or I don't think there's anything other than that. There's false start. They had an illegal formation at one point.
Yeah, I can't recall holding at all, but yet there was some egregious holdings
There
going
were
down.
there were on the Bobcats too,
Yeah,
but it was consistent. So here we go. I'm okay with it.
yeah, they
Of
just
course,
let
we
it
won,
ride.
so I'm okay with anything. But
hmm Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I think them not inserting themselves into this pivotal game is something that's refreshing. I know a couple people on Bobcat Nation are just getting their dander up on it, their hackles raised, but I thought it was fine, man.
yeah, I mean, you got to call some things once in a while, but at least it was consistent.
Yeah. Anything else, man?
We're still in the okay category, I
Yeah, I
guess.
don't have anything else in the okay. That was just the second half play calling for me.
Just a just the running back run game. Like outside of Tommy, if you're adding this up, the running backs were like 29 carries for 101 yards. Like it's with the long of 13. Like it's just but we get that's what's so good about the Bobcats. You can shut that down. Tommy can find a way, and Tommy can still throw the ball. But I was hoping for a little bit better. I thought the lines, the offensive line and the defensive line, both were a little bit overmatched a little bit today.
Yeah, and I think this is where we're going to be with North Dakota State as well.
Agreed.
Is yeah, we're not going to be able to run 307 yards or average on everybody. And when you get down to these Final Four, especially the Missouri Valley Conference lines and how they're built, because they're all very similar, big, athletic,
They're
strong
they're all
dudes.
extremely similar. You could like
Yeah.
just change uniforms on some of the teams. You wouldn't even note it.
So to have a prolific running attack against them, I knew that wasn't going to be the case. I mean, look at the game across in the Dakotas. How did North Dakota State win this game? Through the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for us to see Tommy taking 17 carries, that was concerning to me because he's like, hey, if he gets hurt, that's over, right? I thought he tried to control the game a little too much through the Tommy ball. I thought we looked best to me in the first quarter. And then when things started settling down, everybody kind of got a feel for it. Through the second quarter, I thought we looked pretty good too. And then and yeah, we just went away from it, and then we became pretty conservative with our play calling. Scotchery didn't look like he had his normal burst. I think Scotchery's uh, injury was more serious than we'll probably know, or at least it's hampered him more because he hasn't been himself. We haven't seen him be himself for quite a while at this point, and so hopefully the next 2 weeks gets him back to that top form.
Yeah, just 2 weeks now instead of the 3 weeks too. That's a little interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know.
Well, it's because we've had one more game this
Oh,
season.
because yeah, it's a 12 game season, so
Yeah.
push everything back to week
Yeah.
0 and whatnot.
All right. The Bobby Hawks.
I don't think I have anything for the complete Bobby Hawks. I mean, I already said my one bone to pick with that one play call I didn't like, but other than that, it's hard to find something that I think is truly bad.
Well, so you put something in the good that could be in the bad. I'm going to put something in the bad that could be the good. We had no backbreaking plays where we just started avalanching them. And I thought we did with the fumble recovery that went for 6 that got called back, but we didn't.
That would have been it for sure.
Yeah, but this was the first time then that we had to kind of put this full game, right? Where you're like, oh, talked about this last week. You're like, well, Montana State's just kind of blowing people out. Like, what's going to be like when we have to get into kind of a battle? And South Dakota kind of bowed up in the second half and they adjusted and we went conservative and we had to close it out. And we did. So, take it as you want to. It could be no huge plays to just kind of coffin nail the Yotes, but maybe on the back and you're like, hey, you felt how it feels to play a full 4-quarter game.
No, South Dakota had some really good third and fourth quarters over the last few games to help them like come back and win some games. So they were battle tested in that manner, and we just shut the door on them and never really gave them that chance.
Yeah. One thing of like kind of summation thought for me is South Dakota's stats, like they outgained us in this game, and we'll talk about more about this on Monday, but they didn't have very many explosive plays outside of two big runs in the first quarter and a lot of underneath passes to Tice. And Tice is, again, the best running back that we've ever seen. But we really limited them on the over the top. And that's what they really wanted. You could see we got home when they were waiting for that play to develop, and our defensive line was able to come through in those moments.
That's a very good point. I kept commenting during the game. I was watching my parents. I'm like, South Dakota is going to take a deep shot at some point. That's what they do, and they just didn't. I think the defense was built to stop it today. That was a big part of the game plan was stop those big passes, and it worked.
Yeah,
we never got beat deep.
Yeah, I remember the one where Kenny Iden had his big sack, and they were waiting on a double move, and it worked. Double move did work, but Kenny got it before they could load and release it. And his sack, he kind of like bear hugged him. I was like, man, if he could just slap and strip the ball right there, he had a perfect opportunity to do so. But anyways, we got home, big time play. Our defense was looking good. I thought Bobby Daly called a really good game. Outside of playing a little bit of soft coverage early on, I thought he played his pretty aggressive game.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, man. No, dude, I'm just excited to get back to Frisco. You and I are going. It's gonna feel good. It's hopefully not like a spitting like wet type of day like it was last year when the game. It's a Monday night of all games. It's like at 7 p.m. Eastern on a Monday night, so that's weird.
Not ideal.
No, not ideal. Come back to work on Wednesday because we'll all be traveling on Tuesday, but hope to celebrate Monday night, January 6th, national champion, 16-0.
Yeah, that sounds. Ooh, that's got a good ring to it. Holy!
I can't wait to talk about it, man. Yeah,
can't wait to talk.
Traveling to Montana tomorrow. Christmas holidays, going back to Great Falls. I have to
Nice.
take my microphone and computer with me. We'll be when the next time we'll be recording, I'll be in my parents' basement. There you go.
There you go. All right. Just before we started recording, my mom walked in on us before, and I was like, "Mom, I'm recording." I feel like a little teenager. It's like, "Mom." Some things never
I'll
change.
Take a sandwich, though.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, I would like a Hot Pocket. Thank you. All right,
leave it at the door.
All right, good stuff. All right, if there's nothing else, let's get out of here, man. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.